Oh, I'm on. What is happening here? What the fuck? How's it going, people? I don't know what happened there. What the fuck's happening? I must have pressed that before the time had run out or something. I don't know what happened there. Can you hear me? Hello everybody, can you hear me? Oh, you can hear me now. Don't know what happened. Microphone wasn't working and then it came up fucking blue screen saying it encountered problems, it would have to restart, and it wasn't restarting. Hey ho, whatever, I'm here, that's all that matters. So, it's kind of threw me a wee bit. I'm not going to present anything this evening in regards to what I spoke about the last time. I'm just going to have a wee chat through some of it, talk about bubbles. So, I seen somebody, what I was mentioning was somebody mentioned Earl Grey. I'm saying, no, I'm on the Lady Greys now. I'm the more feminine teas, you know. Apparently it's because I'm using soy milk in my tea now and that makes you more feminine. Something like that. Must be true, because I like Lady Grey tea bags now. They are my preferred choice over the Earl Greys. So anyway, if you want to be a co-host and we'll start a new chat show, we can be at the forefront, the cutting edge of tea discussions, if you like, since everybody else is getting on the bandwagon, being chat show hosts. Because being a chat show host is the way to go. It doesn't matter that we're in a bit of a predicament here. And that we need to escape this fucking system and find out exactly where we are. We just need to have chat show hosts. I'm having the up. How do you know I've not already had that? According to some people, I am already there. I can't remember if I'm really, what is it, if I'm a guy that turned into a woman or I'm a woman that turned into a guy. I don't know. Do you ever notice that? I said this before. Everybody gets up in arms and has a real issue with that whole thing about, you know, a man turning into a woman. It kind of takes the focus away from people that are women that have turned into men. You know? Not that it's any of my business anyway, you know, but I just find it kind of funny that everybody rattles on about men turning into women. And they've all got a problem with it, but nobody seems to have a real problem with women turning into men. Bothers me that, you know. So, we'll talk chat show nonsense a wee bit. What I'm talking about right now is bubbles and liquids. Or anything submerged in water. Particularly bubbles though. Bubbles are interesting. You know, they accelerate upwards. What's that about? Any globe proponents in here this evening? Any globagandists here? I seen Jeremy, or Zippy. We'll refer to him as Zippy. Zippy, you there? Don't hide, Zippy. Tell me why bubbles accelerate in liquid and why they accelerate faster in oil, Zippy. Just before I go any further, I just want to hear what you've got to say. Well, Rob Redding, I was going to get to that. You know, there's a kind of yin-yang. Water and air separates out into wee bubbles, or wee pockets and falls. You know, and then air and water does the same. Not always, but it does kind of tend to do that. Separate out into bubbles. As it gets closer to the top, it'll expand a wee bit. Might get even quicker. There's definitely acceleration going on. So this mystical magical forces, there must be a gravity up the way as well. Must be a gravity at the top of the globe in outer space, pulling bubbles faster through the water. No? Zippy, you went quiet, sir? So have you? No, I'm not feeding them. Well, I'm feeding them. I'm just ramming facts right down their throat, stuffing them full of it. Well, aye. Well, you know, my thinking's always in regards to these claims that these people are making, and I like to ask questions and look for things that contradict their nonsense. So I'm still waiting. I know there's lingering globagandists hiding there, lingering in the chat box. Why are they not responding to accelerating bubbles that go up the way? It's an acceleration, must be a force. Be away Googling it. What does Google say? Surely Google's got something to offer me. Hazmat. People thinking they are the centre is very egotistical of them. Centre of what? You're the centre of your own being. Are you talking about, you know, this flat earthy thing? That's another problem for me again, you know, get back to propaganda stuff. You know, so many people make this statement immovable. It's immovable. It's motionless. It's this, it's that, it's the other. How do they know that? Where did they get that? Read it. So you need to bear with me because I was rattled there with the tech issues. Gyroscope still. Gyroscopes what? Gyroscopes what? Will the gyroscope tell you if you were moving upwards? How would the gyroscope react to you moving it upwards? I still would really like some Glober or anybody to offer up what they understand in regards to bubbles accelerating upwards. So hopefully everybody's quite clear now on the facts, on the mechanics of motion and acceleration, and that it has to be an applied pressure that makes these things happen. No way to break it. It's a fundamental fact of you and I's, you know, everybody's reality. There's no way to escape these things. So from that, people should then be able to break apart and put it to these people. Yeah, I'm still seeing debate shows and all this stuff going on, you know, where people are not putting things into the proper context and asking the right questions. When we've got these people rattling on about pulling force, causing motion, acceleration, and all that jazz. So people should understand through physics, through, you know, understanding the actual reality that we live in, that there's no such a thing. So when people are going to start invoking motion and acceleration, they can't just start bringing in fantasy, imagination stuff that they get an image of through the TV screen. That's not how this works. So where does that put us in? So I was having a discussion yesterday again with Marty about this. I'm having some backwards and forwards, and you know, people are talking about, when I made the video talking about, you know, we got an object and a void, an infinite, whatever, what are, you know, a void, an empty space, a vacuum, whatever you like, and the only thing that gives it direction and gives anything weight is something coming into contact with it and accelerating it, you know, putting it into motion. So now you've got resistance, which is going to give you weight, and you now have a point of direction. Okay, so people were talking about how, oh, but that would have to exponentially accelerate, like it would have to keep accelerating in order to keep that. No, it wouldn't. We're talking about the main reference frame here. The main reference frame can have a uniform motion. You had no direction, you had no weight, you had nothing. Before, you had no momentum, you had nothing. Okay, all you had was mass. That was it. So I'll put that inside a cube if you want, and put everything in there. Nothing's got direction, nothing has weight, because there's no motion. There's nothing to cause any resistance in order to have weight or any of these things. Okay? So in that cube, and you put all your stuff in there, you can put objects in there, right? Still don't have any weight, because nothing's moving. And you're not going to put them in, they're going to fall at the bottom. You know, you're already postulating here. We're talking about stripping back the claims and going right back to their nonsense, right? So you put everything in there, your gas, you know, rocks, whatever you like. Then that starts to move. Now it comes into contact with things that are in there because they're static. The reference frame is the thing that's moving. Now as it moves, the flow rate comes into contact with everything else. It compresses everything, it gives everything its weight, everything starts to separate into its density layers, and it has a uniform motion. And it can be a steady 21 miles an hour. It doesn't have to exponentially accelerate. People are thinking in terms of being here. So if I was to postulate, okay, the Earth's doing this, right, and that's what gives you your direction and gives your weight, because you've got more dense things beneath you that resist you. So that's what denotes your weight, and it's steady. Okay? Where was I going with that? Aye, the acceleration thing. As long as it's uniformly moving, you're always going to have that resistance. But people, again, when you're in this reference frame, people are talking about cars accelerating and blah, 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 and G-forces and how you would need to constantly keep up the acceleration in order to keep feeling that pushback. It's a totally different thing. We're talking about the main reference frame and how everything gets its weight and density layers. Okay? You with me so far? Do you want me to draw wee pictures? Well, think about it like, initially, West Coast Wisdom, think about a train track. Right, you need to put it vertically, right? But we can have it horizontally if you want. Think about a train track and you've got a static carriage. Okay, and you've got a train that comes along at 21 miles an hour. And it's going to hit that and it might bump it. And they might have a point of, you know, acceleration. Obviously there's going to be resistance, but again, we're mixing up the physics of here when we're looking at the outer reference frame. But just play with this, okay? We'll do it vertically. So it comes into contact, it might bump it, but it has no source of power, it's not going to keep accelerating, right? It would slow if there was a resistance, but this constantly coming at it and constantly pressing against it, as long as it's continuing its same momentum of 21 point whatever miles an hour, it's just going to keep pressing on it and keep pushing it into motion. What am I on about there? You want me to draw wee pictures? So what gives things weight? What gives everything weight? What is it that gives everything its layers of density? Somebody else offer me up something here. No fantasies. Something that we can work with, something that we can understand mechanically. If it exists on a floating dish, why would it be floating? It would have to be moving. Well, this is the thing beyond belief. This is where people misconstrue. You know, we're breaking apart the mechanics of motion and acceleration and looking at how reality actually works. So as I pointed out in the last video that I done of this, when the title was why the Earth, moving upwards makes more sense. It's because that fits the mechanics of physics and what we understand. Again, I'm going to ask you this. Do you think that, you're now going to suspend the understanding and get back to the same mentality as a globe? Or the physics that we witness and we experience, somehow in some greater level, it's all different, it's all magical physics? Because I just don't see that being the case. Fair enough, there may be unknowns to us, but we can't go jumping into imagination land. I can only work from the mechanical physics of here and now. Right, so Baron Bronskevich, what gives all these things their weight and the density layers? In order to have weight, you need to have something resisting it. Flat enough, I'm not saying there's an acceleration. Listen carefully. I'm not talking about postulating acceleration. Uniform motion is what's being postulated, not acceleration. I'm not saying if it was the case that the Earth, the main reference frame, is getting faster and faster and faster and faster and faster. That's the morons that are thinking like that, because you're dealing with, concepts and physics of in here. I'm talking about the main reference frame. The main reference frame doesn't have to constantly be accelerating more and more and more. It's the main reference frame with its uniform motion that gives everything its weight, separates everything into its density layers. Can we move a rock up without it moving through the air though? So how does it maintain atmosphere? What do you mean, Dan? I don't know what you mean. Your main reference frame could still be some sort of enclosed thing. As I say, take a cube, you need to think here, void, right? We've got nothing. You're God, if you want. Alright, what am I going to do here, right? I've got wee objects. Fuck it, right? I've got three-dimensional space that's infinite. And I can say that it's just empty in there, or I can fill it with water or whatever. Right? Now, in my cube, I've got all my elements and I'm putting all my stuff in there. But there's no motion to give them weight or to have any density layers or anything. I need to start moving my object so that my object comes into contact with everything else in there. And once it presses against it, everything, all the denser objects come to the very bottom of my object or my reference frame. And then everything else separates into its density layers. So the air's compacting so that closer to the ground, or the bottom portion of my reference frame that's moving, it's denser. The air's denser. I still don't know what you meant. I showed this with a car accelerating with a helium balloon in it and a plumb bob. And when the car accelerates, the plumb bob goes back the way and the helium balloon goes forward. You can understand that all the air compresses to the back wall of the car. So it's now denser at the back end of the car, which forces the helium balloon forward because it's less dense material. But that only happened with motion. I think people need wee pictures. Magnetism and water. We need to understand what we're talking about when we're talking about magnetism. Because, as Marty pointed out, and I spoke about it last time, the majority of the strong magnets are man-made. Where are the naturally occurring magnets? And how strong are they actually? Individual perspective. The point is that I'm breaking apart the nonsensical metaphysics that is the heliocentric globe concept. That's the point. If you're not interested and you don't understand, you can just fucking go and watch something else. Like, this is it, Dan Pratt. This is why I continually come back to it. It's the exploration that's required. Constantly. But while I'm waiting for exploration, I'm not going to stop thinking. I'm not just going to sit back and go, oh, right, we need exploration. Now I want to be a Tinterweb celebrity chat host, show host, and profess how wonderfully amazing I am, and windswept and widespread, and how many souls I've touched with my immense spiritual being and all that fucking garbage that all these clowns are up to now. Again, all this stuff just points back to what I said a long, long time ago, that this is controlled release. This will be released only when they've got control of the narrative. And us rogues, us people who are the real grassroots, don't fit that narrative. Because there's obviously a plan further along the road that many are not aware about quite yet. So what you're seeing is new celebrities being put in place, networking going on, establishing rings. Okay, and these rings are pens of control. Well, these people are just going to put themselves up there as idols. They're going to support each other as idols and establish a hierarchy so that the majority of people are now looking to these inner circles. Experiments. Look, each to their own with experiments. The geometry that's assumed is planar. All the practical applications, the substances, every matter of your being shows that it's a level plane. There's only so much laser shite I can be bothered with. As I said before, the only thing I'll go on board with right now is if we can get a firework with enough power to fire it up as far as we can get it. So if we're going to start, experiments and fucking GoFundMes, let's do that. Because that'll tell me a lot more than shining lasers across level water. It's a waste of fucking time. So it's pulling your camera out and going, oh look, I can see stuffs. Wonderful. I know, the water's level. Right, established that a long time ago. The geometry assumed, level. Established a long time ago. Your eyes, spherical. Vision, spherical. Let's get a firework. Fire the cunt straight up. That's the only GoFundMe that I'm willing to contribute to. Cool, FPV Angel. Is Gem Panda, Zippy, have you offered up an explanation yet of why bubbles accelerate in liquid and why it accelerates faster in oil? It's accelerating. Must be a force. What is it? Answers on a postcard, please. Chop chop. Let's see you wriggle and squirm. Mad Mike. Fuck that. We're talking about fucking kettles with a fucking head of steam built up in them. Never mind focusing on somebody else calling you a freak, Jeremy. Answer. What's causing bubbles to accelerate in liquid? No just one camera, Angry Buddha. Many cameras. Buoyancy there. So you're not saying buoyancy is a force? Because the mass at the top of the liquid is less than the stuff below it. They're talking about pressure, Killsteel. So you would say then that the more pressure there is, the faster the bubble would be? Or slower? What do you think? More pressure the faster? No, it accelerates, it gets quicker as it gets closer to the top and there's less pressure. Oh, it's a reaction force. Reaction force to what? Do we understand why there's more pressure at the bottom? Same way here. Less it's up for it to break through. Less resistance. So it is a force. I thought it was a reactionary force. Now this is it, RS level playing. People talk about experiments. What do they really mean by experiments? Because again, I'm sick of this. You know, it's still the same. People are no separating the geometries of vision to the tangible, three-dimensional realm. They're no stopping and halting people in their tracks when they're invoking pulling as a force that causes motion and acceleration. They're still perpetuating the bullshit, which should tell you something. As a result of gravity, it's in the equation. Jeremy, again, you can't invoke gravity as a force that is pulling. Have you not learned, Jeremy? Have you found any example of pulling yet? Say an equation that's in the equation is not an answer. Exactly. That's it, Killsteel. It's the exact same as air. That's what I was talking about, you know, when they always bring in this you know, they bring in the gradient in air, you know, and they're trying to get you to imagine in your mind that it's, you know, less and less and less. It's not, it's just that the pressure's different. It's not that there's nothing there. So there's no place in the natural world where there is no thing. There's always something. Well, I could say it's the exact same reason that the helium balloon goes forward when the car goes into motion. Well, it's the reference frame that's in motion. It's pressing against everything, that gives everything its weight, that separates everything into its density layers. Because without that motion, you're not having any of that. So I would say that. I can just take the whole heliocentric globe claim and just turn it around and say it's the Earth that's moving. And it's in uniform motion. And it's not meeting any resistance, so you wouldn't know. Well, ether, you know, Chris Davis, there has to be something like that. There has to be a base to the whole lot. Exactly, Steve HV. I don't need a class, I need a demonstration. Remember those there? What are you talking about, Jeremy? What are you talking about? DB1, cranes pull ropes. What a fud. What an absolute fud. There is no such a thing as pull, you muppet. We're talking about physics, we're talking about mechanics of motion, no descriptors of bringing things closer or further away from other things. Right? Understand and separate the language. What we're talking about is the mechanics here, the physicality. So, let's have a wee look at some things here. Pressure is everything, coupled with temperature, Stephen Watson. I said a few weeks ago, there's more to pressure and temperature. And I think people realise. That's it, Natalie K. That's it. You take the car as a reference frame. Never mind that it's in the earth and all that stuff. You know, that shows what I'm talking about. As it moves, you get the density layers achieved. Air compresses. So at the base is where you're going to have the most compact, densest layer of your gas. And you've got all your layers below and above. To sit and make proclamations that defy all of known fact. I would like more than your empty proclamations demonstrate that this is true. Demonstrate what's true. It's no people like me that make these proclamations, Jeremy. I can back everything up I'm saying with practicality, and I have done. You just want to ignore it, son. Because it doesn't fit your wee religious narrative. That there is no logical alternative. Look, Jeremy, I'm not interested in your linguistics, son. I'm talking about physics. Talking about the mechanics of motion and acceleration. You can dance and squirm all you like. It's not going to change the facts. You cannot demonstrate a force known as pull. It doesn't exist. Is it you that's been assigned here now? Is that what's going on here? Huh? Are they just going round in circles, running out of people, and you're new here? So, okay, show that this is true and the current explanation cannot be true. Everything else is just a relevant opinion. It's not an opinion. It's been demonstrated to you. It's not my fault if you're too lazy and intellectually dishonest to understand. Maybe you've just not got the capacity to understand the mechanics of motion and acceleration. Listen, you're invoking pull as a force that causes motion and acceleration. It doesn't exist in the objective world. There is nowhere that you can reference to demonstrate pull to me. So you're the one, remember the globe's a claim that I was born into, it's a globe claim that I'm dealing with, and it's invoking pulling as an accelerative force. Now, you better go and get some practical demonstration of pulling and demonstrate that there is such a force as pull. You know you can't. So, back it up. If you want to prove to me that there's pull, show me it. Give me something right now. That's it. Indigo Pilgrim. They know this. But people like Jeremy are just going to squirm and try and dance. They have to avoid the facts of their reality because they're hell-bent on pushing this religious garbage. That's it, flat with bear. No, Jeremy. I've already proved it. I've demonstrated it numerous times. And there's Execrate 200 who made another video. I'll maybe show that shortly. Demonstrating the mechanics of reality and motion and acceleration. It's unbreakable. That's how you enjoy the privilege of getting into an automobile or a train or an aircraft or whatever. It's how you enjoy the movement of your body. To get up and walk about, open doors, pick your nose, give yourself a wee push downstairs. So it's the burdens not on me. The burdens are on fantasists like you who invoke non-entities, metaphysics, abstract notions, equations that talk about pulling forces. It doesn't exist. So hurry up and go and get us a practical reference. Surely, Jeremy, or any globe proponent out there, you must have one practical reference that demonstrates this force that causes acceleration and motion known as pull. A force of pull. Where is it? You can't. So, it's game over. Again. Dead. Found out, exposed by an arse crack in a shed in a housing scheme in Paisley. Again. Oh, it must stick right in your craw. Oh, you dipshits, it must get right up your wick. I know it must be annoying, frustrating, being wee privileged toffs, thinking you've got intellect and savvy and all that. It's the practical hands-on people that have got the brain to suss this stuff out. You know. You measure gravity of the detail. No, you've got an interpretation, Jeremy, which is flawed. Your interpretation is that stuff's been pulled towards the centre of a non-geometric non-entity because it's a mathematical abstract concept. It's not tangible, it's not demonstrable, it's idiotic, and it's contrary to every other practical application and known understanding of the practical world in regards to motion and acceleration. So where are you going to run now? What's Shane Conley talking about? He's talking to Andrew. What's Shane saying? Well, this is it, Mr. Rizzle Bizzle. I'm not making definite claims. What I'm showing is the mechanics of motion and acceleration takes you to that point. Okay? So, if it was to be the case, then there would be a cause of that we would have to get at the bottom of. But it doesn't negate what we're talking about right now. Gem Panda, I've shown. What experiments are you talking about? They're established facts. He's just, look at this as them dancing. He's just going to keep repeating this experiments. It's everywhere. Nothing moves, nothing accelerates without an applied pressure. Push. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. That's it, Rickus Vaticus. It's just a lever system. But this is the problem with guys like Jeremy and the majority of these globe proponents. They're just wee guys that have spent the majority of their life on tinterwebs and cyberspace, listening to language and images, and they don't have any practical hands-on experience of the real world and how it actually works. They're not interested because it doesn't fit their fantasy. They're mentally ill. People like Jeremy are mentally ill. You're seeing it here. You're disagreeing with me, Jeremy? You're going to keep saying gravity, and under your definition of gravity, it's a pulling force. Am I correct or not? Jeremy, answer. Is gravity a pulling force? Oh, it's the bending of space-time now. And what's that, Jeremy? Now, we were all mental LV Thomas, exactly, but Jeremy's is woefully. See, this is the thing, guys like Jeremy I don't think are. I think guys like Jeremy have to keep perpetuating this nonsense, which to me makes him a criminal. Right? Because he's actively trying to deceive people and disempower them and lie to them about how the mechanics of their reality actually work. And he's out here spreading disinfo, getting involved in talk shows, getting into debates, and asserting all this gibberish. And trying to pass it off. It's just pseudoscience, it's nonsense. You can think of it as a pulling force. No, you can't, Jeremy. Even if I've got an object, a mass with a weight to it, and I put a decline on it, it's the weight that pushes it over. What are you going to say? Again, there's an infinite point of nothingness. Non-geometric, no a substance, no a thing. See, this is the thing, you go to back them into a corner here, and Jeremy knows he's in a corner. So what Jeremy now needs to admit is that his notion of pulling forces and warping and bending of space-time are purely conceptual. They're abstract mathematical concepts. They don't belong in the real world. They have no relevance to the real world whatsoever. So why is it applied to this notion that the Earth's a sphere? How do I advance it? It's not an idea, Jeremy, it's a fact. How I'm going to advance it is I'm going to continually point it out to people. And when I get back to the universities once they're back in term, I'm going to practically demonstrate it to them. I'm going to write to them. I'm going to pester them. Because it's nonsense. They can't keep spewing this garbage at people and passing it off as science. It's pseudoscience. To the detriment of the people who are in the education system. It has to be corrected. And people asking why do I do these things, because the same incentive as always, people, to empower you, to help you to be able to understand this nonsense, to break it apart properly. Because is this not what you're trying to achieve? Are we not trying to change the place? Are you not trying to affect your children and the people that you care about with real informed knowledge, aspects of their real life? And have the ability to articulate that to them? Jeremy, writing things on paper doesn't mean anything. Just as I say, you're writing, you can recite things on paper about gravity. Pulling force doesn't exist. So what's that going to achieve? What's going to make it happen is when people that you are intellectually honest enough to adapt and change the bullshit that you keep spewing out. And when you're involved in affecting people who are listening to you, you're informing them of the facts and know your gibberish. Can you point me? I've asked you. So you're saying to me I need to put things in paper and blah, blah. Can you point me in a direction where it's practically referenced of the force known as pull that causes acceleration and motion of objects? Can you do that, Jeremy, right now? And I'll open it up right now and I'll share it with everybody. Go, hurry up. The burden's on you because you're offering notions that are contrary to direct experience of reality. Chop, chop. Go and get me one, Jeremy. Hurry up. You can use all that gibberish you like. Try to play doing YouTube videos, but this paper that some dipshit wrote somehow has more credence. Never mind the words. Where is the practical reference for pull? Jeremy's not to be ignored. Again, people, this is, again, just to highlight how you deal with these dipshits, how you put them in a corner, and then that's how you crack them. Because their content will reveal what their real agenda is. Now, we can establish here that Gem Panda is out to keep perpetuating an agenda, which means Gem Panda is making the active decision. So he's making the active decision. Why? Because he's insecure, his ego's get the better of him, he doesn't want to admit he was wrong and that he's been lied to and that he's too stupid to figure it out. Or he's on task to perpetuate an industry, to protect an industry that's raking billions and billions and billions a year in off of lies and bullshit. And Jeremy's part of that. There's your choice. It's not Shelley, I don't care what Gem Panda thinks. This is what people missing. People think I'm emotionally involved or invested in guys like Gem Panda. Come on to fuck. I utilise and use them for the benefit of people that are wanting to learn. How you deal with them. How you break apart their bullshit. He's just a useful idiot. I don't have any emotional investment or care about Jeremy. It's his bullshit content that's the issue. That's why I execrate 200. These people are irrelevant. Again, I'm not interested in these people. My only interest in the reason why I do these things is for the benefit of those that are wanting to learn, that are passionate about what the truth actually is, and care for truth, because that's what we need. So anyway, let me see here. Let's have a look.
Bubble Trouble. A glass puzzle from Victorian days, reproduced like a little sausage with 3 sections and
A little sausage, call it Jim
filled
Panda.
with water but with some bubbles, air bubbles in it. How do you get the bubble into the centre? Just a single bubble in the middle. You can try tilting this way and tilting that way and nothing quite seems to work until you happen to spin the item, and then what happens? A single bubble in the centre.
Does anybody know why? I know. Centrifugal force is forcing the more dense material to the outside, which forces that into the central point.
In this illustration, we'll analyze an air bubble rising up inside a liquid. We are given that an air bubble of radius 1 cm rising at a steady rate of 0.5 cm per second.
Come back to that. This is interesting. So I was talking about earlier, you know, when we've got water and air, it seems to separate up into weird drops, and it's the same with air and water. It's like a yin-yang. Look at that. There you go. There's your world, people. It's a dome. There you go. There you get your flat base with your domed earth. Yeah, there's God separating the waters from the waters and all that stuff, sees. Right? Oh, look at that. It's almost like an oblate spheroid, isn't it? Magic. What if the water was infinite? See, the problem is there's no much on this when I started to think about it. You go and try and have a wee look at it. So I'm going to do some wee tests myself just to see how things behave. I'm going to get like a long cylinder. The kids used to have a thing that you put wee plastic fish in and the bubbles would come up and they would bounce about. So I'll make it long enough and I'm going to put, I'm going to separate it out into bands, of a given depth. You have 5 centimetres for each band. And I'm going to time what happens to see where it accelerates and then change the viscosity of the water and stuff and mess about just to see what happens. So again, look at this. We've got this nonsense. This is the thing I was talking to people about. I was telling you about before. Where I looked into what this guy's up to. And this guy's going about schools selling them this apparatus so that they can help students to visualise gravity with a false equivalence, a misrepresentation of granny's knickers stretched over barrels and stuff like that. So they have to use substance, they have to use actual materials, right, from the physical world that are totally different from what they're trying to invoke. Because this again is no the warping and bending of space-time or mass attracting mass, or a demonstration of a force known as pull. That's me, what am I doing? Stop sharing that just now. See what's getting said. So Dell's proving what? Dell's asking questions. That's what Dell's asking. And what Dell's proved is that there is no such thing as a force known as pull that gives acceleration or motion to any object. So, anyway, let's just jump about a wee touch here. We'll come back. I'm going to keep hammering the push-pull thing, and I'm going to get back to, using practical references. In fact, I'm going to share Andrew's video right now, and I'll use that as a wee practical reference. Okay, just to really hammer home and hope that it solidifies in people's understanding of motion and acceleration and what's needed to achieve such. Lifting your lid, what's happening? What are they getting scared of? I missed it, so don't run away. Just post it again and let me see what it is. Muscles pull? No, they don't. The other form of hypnosis. Yes, that's it, Chris Bones O'Neill. We're talking about messing the viscosity of liquids here, what's happening? So let me just put Andrew's video on, because Andrew has, he's good with using the wee animations and stuff that I'm shit with, but he's managed to put it together to make the point.
The wheel is often praised as man's first invention. Roller bearings, ball bearings, journals, shafts, gears, pulleys, sprockets are all descendants of the wheel. However, the wheel stems from an even simpler device, much more profound and integral to civilization. So let's say that we wanted to lift a 500-pound rock or put it into motion. And the best that we could come up with was being able to apply a pressure of 100. If we take a pole and position it over a pivot point or a fulcrum, so that the side that we apply pressure to is 5 times longer than the lifting side, we can now lift our rock. This basic idea is the foundation for the simplest machine, the lever. Known as mechanical advantage or leverage, this simple machine allows us to trade distance of travel for force. If you take the fulcrum or pivot point and move it completely to one end of the lever, and then duplicate it repeatedly with each copy using the same fulcrum or pivot point, which is now known as an axle, a new simple machine is formed, the wheel. Wheels enable us to multiply distance, speed, or force based on how much leverage applied pressure we put on their center point or axle. So with an axle attached to our wheel, rotational force known as torque can be transferred to and from the wheel. much like a lever. If we make the wheel larger in diameter, we can create far more torque at its center point, but at the cost of having the outer edge of the wheel travel a longer distance. And then, if we apply the torque to the center point, then the wheel diameter dictates how far it can travel in one rotation. If we link two wheels together via a belt, chain, or a force transmitting feature such as teeth that transmit applied pressure, we have pulleys, sprockets, and gears. Linking wheels together allow us to multiply torque to rotational speed and vice versa in predetermined ratios. So here with gear A and gear B, we have a 2-to-1 ratio. In order to rotate wheel A once, we need to rotate wheel B twice. This doubles the torque at wheel B's axle at the cost of requiring 2 rotations. It would only take half a turn of wheel A to make wheel B rotate once. The torque applied is halved, but it rotates faster. Machines that link wheels together for the purposes of converting torque and speed are often referred to as gearboxes and transmissions. And all of these can be simplified.
So this is an excellent wee example that Andrew's got here as well, just as I was trying to show people. You know, the applied pressure here to push on it. So the cog is then going to come into contact with the inner portion of the chain link and push it here. The tension is then taken up where the chain now comes into contact with the rear section of the cog tooth here and presses on it to push it in the same direction.
To thinking about as levers, applying pressure to other levers. So for you guys who are still struggling with this definition of push and pull and not being able to differentiate that from the actual mechanics, the actual physics of what's actually taking place, and to separate that from your descriptions, I don't know what to say anymore. This applied pressure on levers that I've demonstrated here is so simple to me, so simple, and that there's people that struggle with the understanding of this, the simple physical mechanics of
what people struggle with is because if they're here going in this direction, this is behind. So when they're applying the force, which is the pressure here, because it's behind them and they're bringing it towards them, it's denoted as pull. Okay, so we understand it as a descriptor of what's happening in regards to the motion. The mechanics of the motion, or what makes it happen, is applied pressure in every case, no way to escape it. It's just how reality works. So again, when we've got people invoking pulling as a force that causes acceleration and motion, it's bullshit. It doesn't exist anywhere.
What's happening, and yet they want to profess that they understand the mechanics of the universe. Fuck off. Just fuck off.
Exactly.
You haven't a freaking clue, you muppets. You want to describe to me the mechanics of how this world and this universe and everything works, and you can't understand a fucking pulley or a chain or a sprocket or a freaking wheel, which is basically a lever. Get to fuck. There's something happening here, but it ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a globe over there, telling me I live on a sphere. Things finally stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
Oh, excellent video demonstration there by Andrew. Please, start supporting people like this, because people like Andrew, and there's many others that I could name, are endeavouring to understand, and they do understand it, and will put out useful information that is factual, that can be backed up by practicality and used by anybody that is interested in it to make a difference. So, don't be shy, okay? Give the channels like this support. No chat show fucking hosts and people trying to drag everybody's attention into perpetual endless debates with faulty information, without any clarity, without getting to the nuts and bolts of the whole shebang. You're contributing to these idiots muddying the waters. What you're seeing now is an upping, that these people are networking, are really establishing circles and networks of people who are in cahoots with each other to impose this hierarchy, right? So that everybody thinks there's a hierarchy, a top tier of people, and listen to their mantras and how they scratch each other's backs of being great activists and great contributors and all this, and I'm not seeing anything contributed. None of these people have broken any of this apart. It's all us grassroots people who are really passionate and forceful into the truth. All these wishy-washy fucking cum-eaters. So it's annoying when I see chat show hosts with thousands and thousands of subscribers and people like Andrew sitting there with 354. Know that it's about that, but it gives me a gauge on where the attention of people are and what games are winning, because the truth doesn't seem to be that interesting to people. It's not that entertaining. People would rather tear strips off each other or care about write-ups about fucking internet fucking relationships and all that shite. Oh, I don't like his personality, I like her personality. No, wonder what happened. It's just EastEnders and fucking soap opera fucking dramas left, right and centre. A fucking joke. Andrew, as I just highlighted, it's not about the subs, it's not about popularity contests, but for me it's important when I see people who are endeavouring to offer up good content in regards to what's really factual and true, that should be what takes prominence. No chat shows and fucking debate shows and all that's garbage. But you're right, again, but utilising people like yourself or information that comes from real, decent, honest people can help people to build up a bigger vocabulary, a wider understanding, so that they're any equipped to be able to make that difference in the real world when they're speaking and interacting to their fellow man. Listening to chat show hosts and faulty information and taking that and then going to try and affect your fellow man, it's not going to achieve anything. You're just taking the muck and spreading it. No, it's not that I'm concerned about these personalities and what they're up to. Again, I defend their right to do it, but I'm going to express how I see it. I don't think it's beneficial to anything. Again, they're free to get up to whatever they like, and I have no gripes with them at a personal level because I don't know any of them at a personal level. But I understand the importance of this whole situation, and I see clearly what has to be achieved. And these people are no sharpening the tools and driving the arrows home. They're blunting everything. Their need to be for their self-importance seems to be prominent. What drama show? Flatfish, be specific with what drama show. You fucking idiot. Where's the hit piece videos in my channel? Huh? Go and find me one. You go and find me a hit piece video. Something where I focus on personalities. Go and get me it. You can't. Flatfish is trying to just assert something. He's a fucking idiot. Well, there isn't a pull in individual perspective. Go and look at the muscles and how they actually operate. It's like a tube within a tube. Okay? And it's got wee levers that intersect the outer tube and push on it to slide the inner tube so that you get what you call a contraction. And that will bring your arm towards you and you're going to say it's pulling it. The mechanical motion to achieve that was an applied pressure at every given instance. Every aspect of your physicality, motion, the heart pumping, everything is about applied pressure. Everything's pushing on something else. Your body's a machine. All other machines require one part to be in contact with some other part and put it into motion. That's how a machine works. You take any component away from that, the whole machine falls apart. So we understand all these things, and again, I'm getting back to it. Every practical example and demonstration that you can offer up shows you this. So what? We just ignore all that because there's this image in the screen and these priestly dudes that have got explanations that start to invoke pulling as a force that causes motion and acceleration. No chance. No chance. I commit to what reality shows me. Know what comes out the words, out the mouth of men and women. I don't care how fantastic the images are that they show me on the TV. What's that, Gideon? Aye, Flatfish, a tug of war's a game of push. Don't start displaying your idiocy of and over it. If you're too stupid to get it, I can't help you. It's not going to change the fact just because you don't understand it. So, as I said a long time ago, for me, there's an air of inevitability that they could never perpetuate this lie. They knew there was going to come a point, and I don't think they're going to manage to achieve perpetuating it with their advancements in visual technology. I think the game's over for them. So I don't know if they had a plan at first to maybe utilise that, but it's not going to work and they know it. So now their other option is to control and steer where this whole thing goes, which is why, as I said before, the influx of the common purpose crews, you know, again, it's always the same. When grassroots starts to happen, they inject it with their people, and their people try and pass themselves off as being truthful and real, right? And they're just there to gatekeep. They're just there to herd people into taking their attention into avenues of fucking nonsense to detract from the severity of the situation. That people need to stand firm in their individuality. Okay? Again, I spoke about this before. Unity, you know, this stuff. Unity's fine. You know, in a machine-like setting where every aspect of that machine is unified to achieve the goal. But I'm not seeing people stepping forward with that. I've been offering it since day one. 100% truth. No bullshit. No personalities, no propaganda. You see any of that, get fucking rid of it. We need exploration of the objective reality. You need every component of your machine to be functioning properly so it can fulfill the task of the whole. But you don't get any clarity. You don't get any set direction from any of these people. They just use all these buzzwords and phrases and mantras and then sprinkle fairy dust on it with words of love and unity and acceptance and all this fucking cack. No, you'll not see it flat enough. And that should tell you something. I knew it in my second video that I ever put up on YouTube. I stated it about this. I think it was when me and Marty about the river. Might have been the second or the third or something like that. It was way at the beginning. Known and spoke to Marty as soon as that came out my mouth about what has to be done, because I could see the games. I could see it was ought to detract and take people's attentions away from a willingness to explore the area. So that's why you're not going to see it everywhere, because that's the threat. That's the threat that they want to contain. They'll say it, or you'll see one saying it, let's go here, let's get a boat and go there. All under the assumption and the presupposition of a depicted model of a flat earth. That's not going to cut it for me. And you have to be sceptical of, one band of merry men going in one direction. That's just not going to achieve anything. Shut up, Craig Hewitt, you fucking absolute warmer. You wee fucking gimpy sweetie mouth cow. You've got nothing, son. Absolutely fuck all. Out the shed all the fucking time, proving reality over and over and over again. You're just a faceless wee gimp on tinterwebs. One of many. An irrelevant fucking pond scum. What have you got to prove? Fuck all. Because you live in fantasy world. Exactly, have no sphere. But fuck them. Fuck them. It's only important to me that the right people get the information that's useful to them. These clowns are just going to mimic and steal and whatever, because their whole sole purpose is to appear relevant and truthful. So if they see people that are truthful and offering up truth, and they know that it's having an impact, you bet your ass they're going to mimic it. It's always been the way. The Earth's demonstrable level, Ben Smythe. The geometry assumed in the practical applications in every aspect of your daily living shows you that. The substance known as water definitely shows you it. You're the one that's postulating an absurdity that you can't prove because it's a mathematical concept backed by an image and text. Now fuck off. What do I make of Branson? It's just a turd. Just a joke. That's it, beyond belief. You can see it clear as fucking day. You see it clear as day. Taking bookings to space. Apparently I seen a wee article where some guy was booked to go to space but, you know, had an accident and died. It's not going to happen. I've seen the control release the day I say tour and all the media attention it got. That's it, mate. Nah, I don't think so, Magumba. Maybe, but I don't think so. Nah, I've not been back up. I've met a couple of people that know of me from places like the BBC. So they've obviously been keeping up. There's still people within that talk about it. A guy, I can't mind your name, Andrew I think it was, came up to me when the last time I was at Glasgow University, recognised me. Said hello and whatever else. So I'll probably get back up there at some point. I'll need to avoid the Science Centre because they don't like me near there. Exactly, crazy Polish man Dan. The one more orbit cat could not fly over the poles. He just done a circle. The Earth is a bubble. I know, Chris Davis, they took that and tried to lump me in there without consent, without asking me. No, it's no for my main argument for flat earth. It is one massive one that disproves your idiotic notion. Go vegan air supply and that's it. Exactly. I seen that Boris Chops. I highlighted that one of the last times I showed it. It was one of these dipshits, Flyby or something, sending me it thinking it was a fucking a proofsy. Idiot. That's it, Celtic 67. They can all hide. They're going to have nowhere to hide. Ben Smith, what's gravity, son? What's gravity? A force that causes acceleration and motion on physical substance. You utter retard. It's a concept. Now fuck off. I cannot be arsed with fucking willfully want to be retarded individuals. If you want to run about being an ignorant mong all your life, that's up to you. Please stop trying to impose that onto other people. You're just an irritating, like a wee fucking midgie. A wee irritating insect. So anyway, with the gravity bullshit, again, the reason why I went on about the push and pull scenario, and the reason why I've highlighted it continually, and I'm going to keep highlighting it, is so that you can stop people in their tracks when they're trying to invoke a force that creates motion and acceleration upon physical substance, right? Because we understand through applied practical daily living in every facet, unbreakably, that it's an applied pressure that has to be the case. If something's in motion or in acceleration, it's an applied pressure. 100%. Proven, demonstrated over and over. Now ask them to give you a practical reference of a force known as pull and get them to demonstrate it to you. So, Let me see what's happening here in the Gmails and all that stuff. Skyfly, I'm sick of telling these people I'm not interested. They continually send you messages. They're stalkers. He's saying that I'm mentally insane. These cunts just don't let up with their stalking. I think I'm going to have to, notify the authorities. I really am concerned about people like you, Skyfly Bry, and we have photographs of you. Okay, son? Now I'm requesting. I'm starting to get a wee bit worried and concerned about the safety of me and my family because you and all these clowns that I've got saved over the last 4-5 years, constantly harassing and constantly stalking. I have got an excellent case to show that I'm being gang stalked by dipshits like you, son. I'm not interested in you. You've got nothing to offer. You're a fantasist, a mentally unstable retard. Now away and fly your paraglider, switch the engine off and prove to us all that there's an accelerating force known as gravity that causes you to accelerate towards the ground. Go and demonstrate it, fucko. Andrew, I'll check that in a wee minute, mate. Hold on. Aye. See if we're on a steadily rising bubble, we're fucked when it reaches the surface. Pop. Aye. So you're thinking finite. It's finite, you know. Again, I'm not certain that any of these things are the case. The reason, again, I'm going to reiterate it, is to bring it back, to look at their claims from beginning and go through it mechanically. Because we're dealing with physics here. So we're talking about acceleration and motion. That's what we're talking about. So what I'm highlighting is that the Earth moving is more consistent with the mechanical understanding of everything else than it is to jump to an assertion and an insinuation that there's a non-geometric invisibleness that can somehow pull things towards it without physical contact. Absolute nonsense. UK Pie, I'll get to, unblocking people. Philip Walsh. What one am I looking at here? What day is this? 3 minutes ago. Please review. To review the link above, which involves an experiment and observation regarding the sun. See where it takes you.
We started wondering what someone would see looking back from the other side, and if he or she would see the same.
Steve, I'll look at that, mate. I've already watched half of this for whatever reason. I've seen this. I'll check it out again properly, mate, and I'll get back on it. Right, where was I? Andrew.
Hello everyone. Probably during your childhood, you were told...
Hold on a minute.
that you should eat apples because they have many vitamins and nutrients, and between this fruit and a cube magnet. Well, what happens if we put a magnet close to an apple? Let's get it on. We must say that this experiment was first shown on television in a popular TV show, but we hadn't the time to repeat it and test it until now. We remember this experiment not long ago, and we were curious to know if what we saw then is true or not. Surely you're already anxious to see it. Keep calm, we're about to show you. This experiment is quite simple. All you need is a neodymium magnet, 2 apples, a string and a stick to balance the fruits. To begin, you need to tie one side of the rope to something heavy to create some sort of counterweight. If you're going to repeat the experiment at home, do a strong knot. Since the weight of the apples can break the string and you'd have to start from scratch to balance the construction. Moving. Everything ready? Well, it's time to start. Take the magnet and approach it to the apple without touching it. And magic. You see? Real magic. Watch closely. The magnet is not touching the apple, but still the fruit begins to move little by little. Wow. But did you realize that the apple is not attracted but repelled by the magnet? We thought it to be the other way round, since in the television program we talked about the apple was attracted by the magnet. We wanted to repeat it, but it seems they cheated us. The truth is, we don't know why this happens. It may seem silly, but we have tried with other species of apple and spinning the magnet, but nothing works. But even so, the mere fact that the apples react to the force of a magnet is a great discovery and a great achievement for us. By the way, you can be even more clever and increase the power of the magnet by adding smaller magnets. Let's try it. It works! Look, the apple's repelled with greater force than before. All this can be explained with science, but it's still difficult to believe what we see. In any case, the bigger the magnet, the more interesting the effect.
It can all be explained. Because explanations are the root of the cause. That's what's wrong with these people. I can explain. My magic unicorn interfered with it. Night, West Coast. Magnets bend oceans. Aye, I'm sure one of these fantasists will assert that that's the case. What will we have? What time are we on here? Let's see, I'll offer up the wee opportunity, as usual, for anybody to come in demonstrating pulley forces and all that stuff. Or bubbles accelerating. Oh, thank you very much. I've still got a wee bit in that.
I'll just take it now, drink it.
Aye, I'll accept the damage just now. Spanks. Eh? Right, let's see here. What are you talking about, Craig Hewitt? What the fuck are you rabbling on about, son? Here, I'm going to send out a wee link into the chat box and you come in here and tell me about your pseudoscientific abstract theory, notion, concept. Right? Cannot wait for your superior intellect to grace the platform and put us alright because you've got wordsies. Can't wait. Watch the silence. Just get on. Right, let's see all the big brave intellects all bashing away like fuck on their keyboard. Silence. There you go. We're all ears. Can't wait. Put us all out of our misery. No, they didn't, Craig. They did a long time ago, aye. They figured out that it was a level plane. And then some fucktards came along and started imposing some gibberish. Anyway, you know, come in. You know, just in case you missed it, you know, I'll keep posting it so you can't say you never seen it or it's not working or some rubbish. There you go. Again, this just proves the point, people. As I say, I'm offering you up a way to break apart their idiotic nonsense. And now I'm demonstrating to you that they have absolutely fuck all. Absolutely nothing. We should have a rule from now on, mods, okay? When we get these, you know, smart asses in the chat box, right, bumping their gums, and then when the link's posted and they don't come in, just ban them. Faceless sock accounts are of no interest to me whatsoever. If that's all the globe has, and we know that's all it is, then excellent. Tumbleweeds. Tumbleweeds. What's your dominate? Warriors. Oh. Give him 10 minutes. Give him 10 minutes. I know how to measure if bubbles are indeed accelerating. You need a series of turbines next to one another, not on top like a skyscraper. Well, just any kind of chamber, I was thinking, Shane Corning, you know, and just, you know, measuring, say, 5 centimetres, depending on the length of tube, and just putting a tape around it, you know, and then I can get a camera that's got the slow-mo ability on it, and we can time how long it takes to get from the bottom to the first marker, and then so on all the way up, and we can time the sections to see how long it's taking. Wolves have ran away. They know they're fucked now. They know they are absolutely fucked. The only thing they're going to do is reaffirm how stupid and dishonest they are when they come on here. Because this isn't fucking fluffy debates and internet chat show stuffs. This is fuck you. I only deal with facts. Flat Earth female, exactly, Stephen Watson. Good point. I heard that Des is not very good, and what can you say? I can only I don't know. I don't even know what to say. All in feeling for him and feeling for the family, and you know, blah blah blah. And hopefully the journey continues for Des, and whatever's there, whatever he experiences is going to be much better than this anyway, you know. But Anne, aye, I mean, it's great. I put a comment in Anne's, I mean, that was so inspiring to see the attitude and the upbeat, you know, attitude, and no willing to lie down, and people offering up their help, people coming from, you know, all over the country, people sending stuff. Lee Hayes and other two guys that I'm not going to mention, or Terry Hayes, whatever one you want to prefer to be going by. You know, people like that, jumping at the opportunity to help. These are strangers. You know, these are people that don't even know you. But when the chips are done and it comes to the crunch, these people are stepping up to the mark to display, you know, for me, the best qualities of the human aspect, the human spectrum. You know? That's it for now with these soccer accounts. They're not getting to waffle their piss here. They've got the opportunity, the same as everybody else, to come in and have the direct conversation. They're not capable of it. Again, I can walk into any of their places and make the assertion and the claim that the only force known to us that creates acceleration and motion is applied pressure and push. And I can walk into any of these venues with confidence and practical references to demonstrate exactly what I'm saying and what I'm asserting. So, if they had something, like I'm saying, you'd think they'd be keen to get in here and show us it all. Just a hot ear. It's a lie, and these people are liars, and they've been found out. And they know that they don't have any room for movement here. So, they know it's time wasted. They're going to go to fluffy areas where people are still a bit, where they know they can have an impact, an effect. They know that can't happen here. Sorry, lads and gals. Sorry. The only thing they can engage in is propaganda. The only thing they're going to engage in is misrepresentation, hit piece videos, focusing on your personality, your delivery, your characteristics, moments when you were angry, moments when you said things out of anger, blah, 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 blah. They have nothing factual in regards to objective reality. Absolutely hee-haw. Never mind telling people you feel sorry for them. Never mind, this is what I'm saying, they play all these games at social levels, trying to gaslight, trying to emotionally affect you, trying to chip away at your emotions and your psyche. Because they're predators. All these soccer accounts, all these people playing these games, and they're probably just people that have got a wee hang-up, that they feel bitter towards me or whatever else. And even they play the games, they're just wee sad fucks. They've not got the cojones to come in and say it direct or say it to you in face. It's just all a game. That's not going to change objective reality. That's all I give a fuck about. Because it's that that's going to tear the whole nonsense apart. Can't hear a fucking thing, Magumba. Says Fearless, there's not just one's own task, there's wee, insecure, needy, butthurt people that misrepresent you, that almost become infatuated and obsessed with you because they misinterpret you and think you hurted their feelings or something. And, you know, they're needy, psychotic people, these as well, who'll make soccer accounts and come in and try and stir shit. You know, I had it recently. We get one that's making videos of that part of me when you had people. See, this is a thing that they forget, and I don't forget, and I'll be ramming it down their throat when I see them. That, you know, when I was angry and I said, I'm going to shag you, and I'm going to shag you so that you know that I'm dominating you. This was in regards to people who are discussing my children openly online amongst other adults and discussing my children's sexuality and my children's looks and all that stuff. Now, I'm a man of the real world. That's a line that you don't cross in my book. You start fucking about with my children, fuck you. I do not. There is no law. There is no fuck all that's going to deter me from absolutely spanking fuck right out of you, because that's the only language you understand. Okay? There's no reasoning with people like that in my world. Absolutely no reasoning whatsoever. You start involving my children, innocent minds, innocent beings. They've got nothing to do with any of this, and you start plastering propaganda about them and defending people that get into these antics, then fucking hell mend you. Because when I come across you, I guarantee you, I don't give a fuck. Oh, you're a bully, well, fuck you. It's a fucking law of the jungle. Fuck with my kids, I will fucking slap fuck out you. So they make hit piece videos and think that they can defame your character and all this kind of stuff, or hone in on that it makes you some sort of lunatic. No. It's measured. It's appropriate. It's what any sane, rational man who has a heart and empathy would step up to the mark to defend their children. So whoever you are, and I know who you are, you will see me. So you better just wind your wee neck in, playing your wee insecure games. But that's the tactics they use. That's all they have. So as I spoke about, again, people maybe don't know, go way back to the very early videos of mine, when it's me and Marty discussing many of these aspects, you know, and how to understand the PSYOP and the game players. Right? Because it's about a particular topic, and that topic's objectivity. So when you see people trying to bring in personality aspects and attacks on persons and blah, 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 these are the operatives. These are the people that are perpetuating that nonsense. Well, that's it, and anybody that tries to sugarcoat it or think that it's fair game when it comes to children, fuck you. Fuck you. I wish there was a way to help Des Sandy123, but from the information that I've received, I don't think that there's anything that can help, to be honest with you, which is pretty devastating. I've had this running, you know, there's a link in the description that's been running since last year. If anybody, you know, has the ability to help in any way they can, by all means, you know, off your own back, go and help. Offer up what you can, you know. It's easy and it's a low level intellect, you know, and tells you a great deal about a person when they can, you know, it doesn't matter if they're doing it in, you know, everyday life or they're doing it on social media and they're focusing on innocence or people that have no way of recourse and sitting tearing strips off them about their looks, about whatever, their gender, whatever, any of these fucking things. It's absolutely atrocious behaviour, you know. How you doing, Andrew Calvert? How you doing, Steve HV? Another man that has absolutely brilliant information for people that people should be utilising and using. And if you're not interested in any of these things, then you're not interested in the truth, you're not interested in progress. If all you're concerned about is being entertained by chat show hosts and fucking endless debates, then carry on, but don't run about professing you're some sort of truther or skeptic or you know, any of these things, because you're contributing to the muck. And that's it there, Sherwood. You see all these people try to jump to the defence of each other, you know, rather than just fucking drawing a line in the sand and saying, no, fuck that, that's fucking bang out of order. So it doesn't look as if anybody wants to join me this evening. I shall post a link yet again. I read there was a write-up thing in regards to a YouTuber known as Patricia Steer. And again, that's just another perfect example of how people focus on, you know, and again, it's an alarm bell that people should be heeding the warning of, you know, when they're seeing these groups going about badgering people about their sexuality or their looks or their whatever. It's got fuck all to do with what the objective facts are, you know? So be warned that if you're facilitating and allowing that type of thing to go on, then you're allowing and inviting restrictions and controls to be brought in to limit and restrict freedom of speech and expression. Okay? The freedom of speech and expression is fine. It's no fine when it's slander. When people are just making stuff up about other people. That's slanderous. That's not right. That is a form of bullying. That has to be fucking stamped out as far as I'm concerned.
Hi Dale, how's it going?
How you doing, mate?
Good. Just thought I'd stop in and say hi. Yeah, I read the article about Patricia Steer and all that. That kind of sucks. I mean, I didn't really get to talk with her. I watched a few interviews with her and with a couple of others. I didn't see anything bad. I mean, but still, yeah, I think the way that you treat people or people treat each other on the internet, it's just something very wild that doesn't happen in person, you know.
No.
And a lot of it stems from a lot of unknowns. Just a lot of people where they don't show their face, they don't have their names and things like that. And it's a crazy platform, the internet.
It displays a lot of things, mate. It displays people's lack of ability to discern. It displays the tendency for people to be swayed by groupthink. And no stand up for what's right, you know. That's what it displayed for me. I mean, each to their own, and these people can present themselves any way they want, but when you're starting to drag in subjectivity into a topic of objectivity, you know, I start to get a bit concerned about that. Why is it even there? Why are people utilising that? And a lot of people utilise it for me because they're appealing to that aspect of the human psyche, or the human psyche in the conditions that it's under right now. With a love a bit of drama, people seem to warm to these things like it's some sort of relevance. I think it appeals to the needy, insecure people because it somehow makes them feel special or better about themselves when they can watch other people's dirty laundry, you know, being aired in public. You know, it's just a fucking absolute joke. But I mean, it's not just prominent on YouTube. It's everywhere. Look at the political, you know, circles. Look at the mainstream news and media and how it utilises that type of thinking to sway public opinion and public choice over whatever's going on. They'll focus in on a character trait. You know, it's like they've got this invisible bar of what it should be to be a public representative in regard to your personality. I couldn't give a fuck about their personality. I'm only interested in the content they offer me in regards to objective fact. You know, what's the real world facts that these people are representing? If they're not representing real world facts, why are they in a public arena in the first place? It's of no use to anybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep. I agree. But it's a lot of our world society, I guess, or maybe we call it internet society. It is filled with ego. I mean, there's a lot of it. It's just pervasive with it. And it takes a while for an audience to just stem away from the ego aspect of listening or watching people and actually listening to what they can gain out of it, any truths and any type of ways of thinking that's effective for their own selves, if not for those that are close to them and they care about.
Yeah.
It'll get there, but again,
Well,
it's as big of a process as the people who make the content.
that's it, mate. That's it. It's pretty sad, and I don't know. I sometimes lose hope that people would get there. In regards to that, you know, I can see it taking a long time, you know, for people to escape out of this type of thinking. It's bonkers, you know. But you know, I'm a staunch believer in, you know, these media outlets, you know, mainstream facilities should only ever focus on representing real world factual situations and events and whatever else information that's of use to people. But it doesn't, it just continually focuses on this undertone of subjective opinion and judgment, you know, all the things that are to your detriment, because what is that saying about your mentality? That you're on a high horse, that you're somehow on a pedestal, that you've got the right to pass judgment on another human being's person and character and look and skin colour and race and all this stuff. I mean, none of that stuff's relevant to me at all. I'm secure in who I am. That's
Yeah. But even however well secure you are, they'll just keep at it, a lot of them. And it doesn't matter if it's false accusations of misrepresentations, they'll keep doing it. And it's just the way that they are, whether it's for their own gain, personal gain, political gain, whatever it is, they just keep doing it. And I think it's almost in a battle. It's almost a battle in itself, where either you keep going or you stop or you change things up. But it's pretty much almost impossible to stop them from doing what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. No, that's it. You know, I spoke about this a few times. People talk about, there's more to it than just realising the Earth's flat. And, you know, of course, you know, what people need to understand is how their mind is affected. You know, first and foremost, you have to understand subjectivity and objectivity. And if people can start filtering things with the two avenues of processing, then you would start to have clarity. But people just don't seem to have that want. You know, it's, for me, it is quite disheartening. I struggle now and again when I contemplate this, that there will be progress. But to be honest with you, I'm a bit cynical in that regard. To, you know, that people will resolve that and break away from it, because they're too caught up in their own insecurities to even realise it. So I don't know. Maybe through time it would change, but right now I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I don't know. I used to be cynical. Now I'm just really hopeful. It's almost naive. But the thing is, I've seen a lot of people change over their lives. I've changed myself. And so, I mean, if we can witness these things, which many people would say would be an impossibility, I think, I think it's possible.
I think change, you know, if we can affect the source of it, you know, like people like us who have got a bit of wisdom and age, you know, we've moved through those stages in our lives, but you've got younger generations that are coming up that are being subjected to it. Their stimulus and their influence is coming from these outlets, these places who instill that in them, and then that generation maybe has to go through some life experience before they're going to learn and realise it and adapt. But unless you remove that source, it's going to perpetually keep happening to the new generations that come in. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
attacking it at its source, I think, for me is the only way forward.
Yeah, it's not just a learning experience. I think the younger generation will also realize that when they're in that environment, that it's worse than a dog-eat-dog world. It's kind of like the work world, where everyone's just stabbing each other's back just to get ahead of each other. Yeah. And it's kind of the same thing. It's like, hey, they're in this group think where if they think differently than everyone else, the ones that they're friends with, the ones that they always pop each other up, the ones that support each other, they'll just really rip them to shreds. So they'll realize, hey, this is not the type of friends and environment that I want to be in. So they're gonna get the hell out, and they're gonna learn their ways. I think it may just be a cycle.
Aye, well that's it. Aye. But that's what I'm saying about trying to identify the sources that facilitate and help those type of behaviours and nurture the behaviours. And it's just as you say, for me it's the whole system, it's the whole, shebang, the situations and the circumstances that people find themselves within, that has to be changed and eradicated. A perfect example for that is one of my incentives for, homeschooling my children. It's not just that the school's offering up faulty information and affecting them there. You've got children from all different backgrounds and circumstances who are formulating their own wee hierarchy and their own wee cliques and circles, which then affects other children within that environment, which is not always, under the watch of a sane, rational adult. They're being left to their own devices in the playground, and when they're out playing with each other, there's so many factors that has that influence. So that was one of the reasons for me of avoiding them going to a public education or a public indoctrination centre, or government programming centre, I should call it.
Yeah. Before I go, one of these things that really got me because of because I don't trust the vaccinations, but I went through it, so heck, maybe my kids will be all right too, type of thing. So the current doctors that we're with right now, they updated their system, but their new system didn't transfer the old system's records. And so a couple of months ago, February, my son had his final vaccinations until kindergarten, and I texted my wife, hey, all right, he's good until kindergarten. And then I took him in for his checkup, and they're like going, we're checking our records, and it looks like he needs some shot. He needs to be updated on those shots. I was like, no, you guys gave him his shots, and you guys have a new system. You guys didn't update it, so we're not gonna have the shots until you guys clear it up.
Yeah.
And so we just left. They're okay with it though, which is nice. And I just think that's just funny. Is like they'll go ahead and give the vaccination shots. I don't even know if they know if that's okay or not.
Yeah.
Just because the records that aren't updated shows that he needs to be updated on his shots.
Mm-hmm.
It just cracks me up. I mean, it's a horrible situation.
Right. You get strange people wanting to inject your children with stuff.
Yeah.
It's crazy. What about in regards to any, the stuff I was talking about this evening and previously, the mechanics of motion and acceleration? Did you get any of that? Have you get anything to say on the matter?
Yeah, I would love to. I have to pick up my kid from daycare about now. I just wanted to stop in and say hi and definitely have the conversation on the next time I'm able to stop by.
Nice one. All right, mate.
But anyways, I just wanted to stop in and say hi and thank you. And I'm glad you keep going because there's just really a few people about Flat Earth that I watch nowadays anymore. And it's nice to see people keep going despite all the attacks that are always ongoing.
Yeah. Well, so they're not going to penetrate me with any of that bullshit. They can keep flinging it all they like,
Mm-hmm.
So, cheers, mate. We'll have a good day.
All right. Yeah, you too.
All right, bud.
See ya.
The link's still open. Does anyone else looks gay? What is all that as well? I think he's a fuck. Somebody looks gay. Seen a wee guy up the street the other day with fucking skin tight jeans on, no socks and shoes, and he had makeup on. He looked content, he looked happy, and he looked secure with himself. So, for me, the most important thing is that that person is secure and happy with themselves, wakes up every day happy with the being that they are, and they're enjoying being them. So what am I supposed to do? Oh, he looks gay. Oh, no, I need to get insecure about that. I need to get bitter and angry and me. He's my enemy because he doesn't represent what I am, and I'm not secure with myself. So I need to destroy him so that I can try and fill the hole within. Whatever. That's it, like God. People lose focus on what's really important. Are you happy and content with yourself? Do you know yourself? And if you do, are you secure with yourself then? Or are you unhappy about who you are? So therefore you feel the need to control other people, to try and whatever, fill the hole within yourself. I mean, how you doing, Emerald Rider? Homophobic? What? Throw any old fucking muck and hope that it sticks here. It's none of that. This is not a political, religious. I don't know. It's not about subjectivity, any of this. Shag who you want. You know what I mean? As long as it's consent, I don't give a fuck. Do you do whatever you want to your body? That's up to you. As long as you're not doing stuff against the will of somebody else, then what problem is there? When I refer to baggy hoops and all that kind of stuff, I'm referring to these people who you know, take the cock of their master because they're empty shells. You know, they don't have a spine, they don't have the ability to stand up as an individual and stand on their own 2 feet. It's not a literal, you know, homophobic statement. But some people just want to take it like that, knowing fine well what's meant. What was that? Instant delete Ziggy Stardust. What happened? Did I miss something? Won't get deleted. This is all the stuff that perpetuates this bullshit system, and people are all trying to control each other at subjective levels, and they don't even realise that that's what they're up to. Exactly, Emerald Rider, that's it. All that other stuff just pulls your attention away from what's relevant and really important, you know? What you typed was a colour of paint in the old days. I don't know what that means. I'm missing something. That's a giraffe's vagina to me. Yeah, that's it, Celtic 67. They all come with this, you know, preconceived bias and assumption that they've got the answers to what the objective reality is and what should and shouldn't be done here. And I always ask these people, where do they get it? No, I don't have a practical understanding, V. Thomas, you're right. It's just never floated my boat, to be honest with you. I've got mates that are into all that. They like their woman to stick a finger in there, or their tongue, or whatever. Nah, it doesn't do anything for me. Well, when things are being pushed and forced, Tyler Roberts, you know, I think a lot of people look at things, you know, incorrectly. In regards to an offer of education towards children, you know, I think it's a useful thing to have an avenue so that children who maybe discovering themselves and realising that they're different for the mass majority, the mass majority have an avenue of realising that there's an acceptance and there's an avenue of information, an avenue to open doors to relate to other people who have been in similar circumstances and situations, so that they don't, eat themselves up and commit suicide or destroy themselves or any of these things. So I think that there's use to that. And I think we're also moving out of old hat ways where we lived a really oppressive way of life that was imposed. As I say, I go back to my childhood and it was like, oh, the gay guy, oh, and everybody, oh, he's fucking gay, oh, fucking poof, yeah, fucking this, that, and the other. And that never sat right with me. I'm like, well, these people aren't affecting me. Why are people chastising them to the point where these people are committing suicide? But I think it's different when there's NLP tactics being used in order to influence. Then we're talking about something different, because a child mind could be moulded. They could be subtly coerced and pushed in a particular direction. But having avenues of open information so that if that child or human being start to discover themselves as they go through life and adapt and evolve into adulthood, then I think that's very useful. But not to be pushed as an agenda in order to influence, that's different. We're talking about social engineering then. Of course I have an issue with that. Who has the right to do that? I understand the tools that they're utilising and I can identify the tools that they're utilising. But what happens is people just jump into a bandwagon and start spewing hatred towards a minority like it's a minority's fault. It's no, look at the sources of where these agendas are being pushed. Look at the methods that they're utilising in order to achieve these agendas. Then we've got a case. But to just jump in a bandwagon, and that's why I say to you, look, it can be classed as hate speech, because there's no definitions, there's no, what's the fucking word? Specifics being highlighted and what it is they're actually addressing. All I'm hearing is hate transgenders, hate gays, hate this, hate that, as an umbrella and a generalisation. Well, that's no use to anybody, right? So again, if NLP is being utilised and used on children in school communities, there's an issue for me. If the school communities are offering up an avenue of information so that these children see that, and as they start to discover themselves through life, they know they've got an opening, they know that it's being catered for, that there's a willingness to accept and for an understanding to be had, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Because again, who has the right to tell anybody what life's about, how they should be, what their sexuality be, blah, blah, blah. That's fucking retarded. Of course it is, McAnders. Shane Gorning. How you doing, Kiara? A situation like, I had to get through school. And I was depressed and anxious and had loads of emotional and psychological baggage just because of what was going on. But there was no avenue of support there for me. There was points in my life where I could have committed suicide at my lowest ebb if I didn't have the drive and will to resolve it and fight through it. Some people just are made of different stuff. So, as I say, I don't care. I would stick my hand out to help and listen and be there for somebody who was in a situation like that, right? Because I can't judge them. I only know who I am. That doesn't give me the right to judge somebody else. As a human being, and I see another human being in a state of angst or depression or whatever, because, the circumstances in society are telling them they should be a certain thing, and they know deep in their heart that that's not what they are. but they don't feel as if they've got an outlet to express and explore themselves fully, then I empathise with that. So Emerald Rider, spot on. That's it, Baron Bronskevich. They're your children. You don't see anything else in nature palming its fucking young off to others to look after them and fucking teach them about the world and the skills that they require. Nowhere. Exactly, Pandemonium. That's it. That's it, beyond belief. I see it as an agenda as well. You know, all the hate speech, you know, all this subjective stuff about bullying and about people's sexuality and stuff. These are all mechanisms and tools that can get you shut down. And people are too fucking dumb to recognise that that's what's happening. You need to ask the questions, why is this stuff being made relevant? Why is it being brought into objective inquiry? Cuckoo. I hope we find out where the fuck we are, DJ Danny. That's it, Sillen Alien. You know, in regards to the mental state of people who buy into all this propaganda and passing judgment at subjective levels and acting irrationally through impulse and insecurity, then it's no wonder you get statements like that. You know, was it Obama? The average man and woman are too small-minded to govern their own affairs. Fucking spot on. Your refrigerator did make me laugh, Shane Carney. See, that's where I have a problem with City Elcart, that gender is a choice. It's you know, it's a choice when it's offered up as a lifestyle, you know, or whatever else. It's totally different when somebody has a deep understanding of themselves and knows what their identity is, and they struggle with that. It's something totally separate. So again, that's what I was referring to in regards to the NLP tactics that are being utilised and used. You know, making things trendy and appealing lifestyle choices and blah blah blah. That can affect an impressionable mind, you know. So I'm totally on board with all that aspect of it. I just can't be fucked with these morons that run about just spewing hatred without any specifics and breaking apart the complexity of what's actually going on. They just lump it all together and say it's all an agenda and it's all this and it's all... How you doing, MS Studio? That's all of them, said the Elcart, exactly. I think he was just a man, I remember saying it. Night Sandy. Well, the game is to work out what's going on. Start separating and realising what's being utilised, the tools that are being used to affect and influence. Subjective, objective, and NLP in order to appeal to the subjective confusion. To get you to make choices and align your attention with certain things that are no off your own back through a reasoned understanding, through your own processes that you come to that decision. People are just being coerced into groupthink by the use of NLP because they don't understand their own mind. They don't understand how to separate objective information and subjective information and they put it in its appropriate category. No, I've not read Sam Harris' Moral Landscape, but Sam Harris is one of these people that will tell you your consciousness is an illusion and that you came from pond scum, so there is no morality. There's no even a rational being in there that I can communicate with, so I can't take anything that Sam Harris says as anything relevant, because as far as he's concerned, he's an automaton, and all his thoughts and ideas and words were all created previously, and they were an inevitability, so he has no volition, he has no any of that. It's all deterministic from the beginning to the end, and he's just an automaton with an illusion. Sam Harris is a retard. Well, that's always the question, isn't it, flat enough? It's an illusion, who's experiencing it? Christopher Hitchens, all these people are the same. You know, it's easy to rip apart literal interpretations of you know, biblical texts and all this kind of stuff, and then they start trying to offer up their moral reasoning and and it just all falls apart. It's just self-defeating statements that come out of these people. But again, there's a sign that these people have influence over, you know, vulnerable young minds. So it's not just about, you know, agendas of, you know, choose what gender here. You know, these tools are being used in so many different factions. You see how it moulded the generations to what we have now, and this new age atheist type ideology, where they all just repeat what Dawkins or Hitchens or Sam Harris says, and they've not even got the intellectual capacity to work through it to realise the contradictions and the absolute absurdities in the whole process of their postulations. Bonkers. I said it before, you get these supposed intellects telling you that you came from nothing. Your consciousness is an illusion and everything's predetermined. But they want to stand there and tell you that you should entertain them as some conscious entity that's offering you up rational processes. It's bizarre. You'd be as well just going outside and saying you had a intellectual conversation with your car yesterday. Well, that's it, J-Rob. That's when, again, I'll be talking about that when I start getting on with the homeschooling thing. You know, people are asking me about formats and structure and blah, blah, and this is where you have to be very careful, because that's when you start to mould and start to impression on them, to influencing them, to become something that may not be true to their actual essence. So I'll be discussing all that on the other channel. Flat Call Music, don't be fucking blaming me. Right? That's just a weak statement to make. I know you're only kidding. Get some self-discipline. Maybe it's because deep down you don't want to get up, because you enjoy it. Embrace that. Don't be scared. That's you just letting society affect you, telling you no to, well, they offer you the product to go, no, don't do that, it's bad for you. Here, but have some more. And you're conflicted. Oh no, what should I do? I like it, but they're telling me I'm going to die. Oh, you've got to die anyway. How big are my biceps? I don't know. I don't go about measuring them. What could I use? I don't know. Judging by the size of my horns, I can't get them run halfway, so I mean, I don't know. Use my eyes. That's it. They're about 18 inches. I don't know. Two horns for his eye, that's it. That's how you used to measure women's tits, wasn't it? You're a wee guy. It's half a horn fee. 2 horns for one. If you used 2 horns for one, that meant they were big. I don't mean to be sexist, no, that shite. It's just reality, women. Come on now. You know, that's how we gauged it. Is it more than a horn fee? Is it less than a horn fee? Totty scone tits. You either had totty scone tits or you had can crushers. I mean, they're all good. You know, I'm no sizist when it comes to tits. You know, totty scone tits, can crushers, don't care. You know, looking for sizing women? No, neither am I. I'm arse and legs. It's arse and legs. It's the whole package. You know? It's artistry. Not to objectify women and all that. You know, it's just, I've got eyes. I appreciate art. Right? There's my get out clause so that I don't get put up there as a misogynist, sexist guy and all that. That's it. We're getting a Google ban now, Martin Allen, that's it. The hit piece videos. Oh, look at this man. He's referring to women's breasts as totty scones and can crushers. I mean, this man is a knuckle-dragging fucking buffoon. Right, anyway, just getting on a bit. That's it, innit? The platform was open for the globagandists to offer up an example of a force known as pull that can create motion and acceleration. They failed miserably because it doesn't exist. So, what was the whole point of this? Aye, and the question of bubbles. Right? So, hopefully you learn something. Maybe no. That's it. Balloon belief. Cheers, Pandemonium. You too, mate. I need to catch up with you, bud. I know you sent me an email and stuff. I've just need to get the time, but give me a shout as well anytime you're up for it. If you say to me you're going to come over or you want to meet up, I'll make the time, mate. If I know something's happening, I will make sure I've made the time and the effort to get there. Right, cheers everybody. I'll see you maybe at the weekend. I don't know what's going to happen with that. You know, the whole Saturday thing was was about, you know, keeping the platform open for anybody new that came along, but, you know, people are just, I don't know, I'll look forward to it if I know there's going to be some, you know, in-depth stuff that we can break apart and get to the nitty-gritty of stuff. If that's not happening, I'm going to lose interest in it as I have been. So I'm maybe need to change the format of that and come with specific topics or whatever that I want to bring up. And if I don't have anything on my mind, I'm not going to do it, you know. So I'm a wee bit conflicted about what's going to happen with the Saturday things, to be perfectly honest with you. So we'll see what happens, alright? Take it easy, people. We'll see you all soon, eh?